Hello, my name is Brittany Farrell, and this presentation will cover my capstone. The topic of my capstone was Art Integration, the Benefits for Students with Disabilities and Weak Fine Motor Skills. I am currently a special education teacher at New Martinsville School. Here I have taught for 3 years. I graduated in 2013 with my bachelor's from West Liberty University. I also hold my degree in special education and a certification in autism. Through my 3 years of teaching students with special needs, I have also noticed that many of my students display fine motor deficits. In my research, I have found that a typical general education classroom covers 31 to 60% of their school day, requiring fine motor skills. The goal of any special education teacher is to close the achievement gap between students with special needs and students without special needs. In order to close this achievement gap, we must also focus on our students' fine motor abilities. Ideally, students should be able to answer questions in a variety of formats, including writing, cutting and pasting, and drawing. The reality is that many students with special needs also have deficits in fine motor skills. Tarnopol and Tarnopol found that 90% of children with learning disabilities have fine motor or handwriting difficulties as well. One solution would be to integrate art activities in special education classrooms to improve students' fine motor skills and provide students with a way to express themselves. The purpose of my study. The purpose of my study is to determine the relationship between integrating art in special education classrooms and improving students' fine motor skills. Ultimately, after collecting data, I would like to evaluate the data to determine the current level of integration and if there is a want and need to design a pilot program and assessments to determine the ability of art to promote students' fine motor skills. The significance of my study. This study would be relevant to all teachers and therapists that work with students who display deficits in fine motor skills. There is a correlation between art and fine motor skills. The studies exist but are difficult to locate, and evaluations are also lacking. Fine motor skills are necessary. Fine motor skills are necessary for students to be able to complete basic daily living functions along with higher academic skills. By integrating art into classrooms for students with fine motor needs, we are also able to address multiple intelligences and learning styles of our students. Also, there is a need to develop assessments and a pilot program to determine the benefits of art in classrooms for students with fine motor deficits and special needs. My research questions. I will have 4 research questions. These are, what is the current level of art integration in classrooms for students with disabilities? My second question is, what are teacher and therapist views on art integration? Third, what are teacher and therapist level of willingness to integrate art into classrooms for students with special needs? And fourth, how can the benefits of art integration on fine motor skills be assessed? Fine motor skills are necessary. There are a multitude of reasons why fine motor skills are necessary for all students. Class time. 31 to 60% of a child's day in the general education classroom is spent on skills that require fine motor needs. Also, fine motor needs address fine motor task, integrated fine motor task, and other academic tasks. Fine motor tasks consist of any task in which a student is required to use pencils, scissors, and/or a keyboard. Integrated fine motor task in the study consisted of fine motor tasks occurring simultaneously with academic tasks. An example would be a student following along with something on the board and also having to record it on their paper. Other academic tasks did not require use of the student's hands. These would be reading and group discussion activities. When students have weak fine motor skills, It can also affect both their peers and teachers' perceptions of them. The inability to write legibly may cause teachers to form incorrect assumptions about the student's abilities. The inability to perform self-care opens students up to ridicule from peers. This can cause a loss of independence and a loss of self-confidence. There are two types of fine motor skills: visual motor coordination and visual spatial integration. Visual motor coordination involves small finger movements, and visual spatial integration is the ability to make a mental representation and replicate it with controlled small muscle movements. Visual spatial integration has been shown to have an impact on students' academic achievement. Visual motor coordination has not. Visual spatial integration can predict both math and written expression abilities. There are two reasons suspected for this. When cognitive resources are deployed to writing instead of the lessons at hand, it can cause students to struggle in academic areas. Also, the same area of the brain that solves numerical operations also assist with visual spatial processing. There are also multiple ways that art can be integrated into a classroom for students with special needs and fine motor deficits. There is a book that has been written by Broughton. Her book is called Creative Expressions: An Arts Curriculum for Young Children, Including Those with Special Needs. Within this book, teachers can find lessons to address both pre-writing and fine motor skills. Her book includes lessons for gross motor, fine motor, self-help, pre-writing, cognitive, language, and personal social skills. These lessons are throughout the art areas of creative movement, drama, music, and visual arts. Within each area of the art, there are 4 fine motor lessons and 4 pre-writing lessons. This book includes 32 activities total that address pre-writing and fine motor skills. The lessons integrate materials that are easily accessible for the teacher. Crafts is another way that teachers can integrate art into a classroom for students with special needs. There is a long history of crafts being integrated with children and individuals with fine motor deficits. This written history begins as early as the 1900s, when crafts were used for individuals that were war veterans. 72% of occupational therapists included in the study reported using craft activities. Of this 72%, 51% said that the craft activities are used 20% or less of the time in their therapies. However, in this 20% of time, the craft activities are used to address individuals' fine motor skills. Teachers may also employ different teaching methods in their classrooms. 2 teaching methods that may be used are the TEACH method and the Montessori method. The TEACH method was originally designed to be used with children that have autism. However, this method employs the strategy of structured work systems. Structured work systems could be useful for many students with special needs. In a structured work system, the child is given step-by-step activities that must be completed in order to receive a reinforcer. The steps are presented on a visual task strip. This helps to promote independence with students. In the task strip, teachers could include art activities to help address a student's fine motor abilities. Another teaching method that could be used to address art and fine motor skills is the Montessori method. The Montessori method focuses on using everyday real-life materials. An example of an activity that could be used using everyday real-life materials can be found in Broughton's book. This activity included children using tongs to dip small materials such as cotton balls or rocks into paint and then creating a print on paper. So a teacher using the Montessori method may also address Broughton's book and include some of her activities in their lessons. Improving art integration. There have been national recommendations on how to improve art integration. The John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts and its affiliate, VSA, brought together individuals that were interested in art integration and students with special needs. Throughout their summit, they realized there was a need for an information hub/technical assistance center. This center would find all of the information available on art and improving students' fine motor needs and other academic needs and how integration can help these needs. And it would put all of this information in one location so that it would be easy to access for any individual that is a stakeholder in a child's educational career. They also realized that there was a need for a consortium of arts education and disability organizations to advance national agenda. Quite simply, there is a need for the stakeholders to be brought together so that they can collaborate to decide in what ways art integration can help benefit students with special needs. This goes into the fact that collaboration is needed in order for art integration to be successful. We must tear down walls between art educators and special educators and allow them time to collaborate so that they can provide what is needed for their students in order for them to make gains in academic and fine motor skills. Also, professional development is needed in order for art integration to be successful. Many teachers are fearful of integrating art into their classrooms because they are afraid of the unknown, or they may have not had a good experience with art themselves. So in order to help promote art integration, training is needed, resources must be available, and there must be a time when art educators are available to support special educators in their endeavors. Also, essential is an evaluation. Teachers need a way to measure the outcomes of art integration. A variety of tools can be suggested that may help teachers with evaluating art integration. Some have suggested rubrics or teacher-student observations. Portfolios are another suggestion for how to evaluate art integration and the benefits on fine motor abilities. Participants will be selected based on purpose and convenience. They will be selected from the Wetzel County School District in which I work. The participants will be the occupational therapist and her assistants, the physical therapist and her assistants, and special education teachers serving grades K through 2. The instrumentation created will be a questionnaire. In the questionnaire, demographic information will be included, open-ended questions, and questions on a Likert scale. The demographic information will address participants' age, educational background, including schools attended, degrees obtained, pertinent professional development, their position in Wetzel County, and the students served, which will address the student's number, age, and disabilities. The open-ended questions and questions on the Likert scale will address the current level of art integration, types of art that are being integrated, teacher and therapist perceptions about art integration, the perception of the benefits of art integration, assessments that can be used, and interest in a pilot program. The data will be collected and will be sorted into 5 different themes. The 5 themes will be addressed on the next slide. First, the questionnaire will be designed. Participants will then be contacted by email. We will establish a meeting time. The questionnaire will be distributed either by hand or email to participants, and then within 30 days, the questionnaire will be collected and the data will be analyzed. The 5 themes will be the current level of art integration, the teacher and therapist views on art integration, the teacher and therapist level of willingness to integrate art into special education classrooms, and potential benefits of art integration. Also, ways to measure the effects of art integration on fine motor abilities. After the data has been analyzed, an assessment will be created if necessary, and a pilot program will be created if there is interest to integrate art into classrooms for students with special needs. Here are the references for both my presentation, my poster, and my lit review. Please visit these and my literature review for more information on art integration and the benefits for students with fine motor deficits. Thank you.